Yeah, I had a talk with the GM yesterday about whether we're ready to present. We've got something to present. I just wanted to, I think today we should just sort of finalize what we're going to present to them, how we want to present it. Michael, the GM, said he could put it on the agenda for this Thursday. Um, Certainly everyone is, you know, I think I will, after this meeting, I wanted to make sure you were all comfortable with that schedule too. Is that some doable?
Sure.
Um,
What was the schedule? You guys were cutting out just a little bit.
okay, I talked to the GM that I talked to him and told him that we could probably present something to the board at the next board meeting.
Okay. When is that?
You got that?
Yeah, and when is that next board meeting?
Maybe the microphone is here, but
It's next Thursday at probably 7 o'clock, right, Laura?
7 o'clock.
Okay. It's not on the agenda yet, but I will talk to the GM and see if he can get it on there for us. So today I wanted to sort of finalize what we were going to present, what we can expect. I mean, this isn't a comprehensive plan at this point, I realize, but I think that there will be some iterative process where we'll talk to the board, and given what we show them, they'll have questions for us, and we'll probably have to regroup a little bit and come up with some more solid answers. But I think we're in a really good place. And did everybody get the email about editing on the most current versions? Ariel, I think you made some revisions to a older document, and
Oh, okay.
I think I incorporated them in everything that in the latest version. If you can look into that folder and make sure that I captured what your essence of what your edits were.
Was that,
Yeah.
was that your August 6th email, or was there? more?
I just sent an email today, but it's the
Oh.
same folder. It's the same folder as the one that I sent you to earlier.
Okay, August 6th.
So it's under the what is it called again? For presentation docs for review. So these are the docs that I would like to get to the board. If there's anything in there, and I did register. I think Tony, you made some edits to some of the docs. Ariel did. Jane, I think you made a couple edits.
Just the registration form.
Okay.
I put some comments on the one, the STR concerns one. If I would like just an opportunity to flesh that out a little bit in the narrative, if that's something that is we're open to.
I think that, yeah, I saw your comments, and I think that if you would like, just go in there and edit, because that view isn't really expressed in what I have in there now. So if you'd like to go in there, edit that so that's part of the record, that's fine.
Which document is that in?
The STR concerns.
And is that something that we can see now or no? I see some
It's up
green
there.
highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's up there now.
But are the comments in there?
The comments are in the comment section, so it's over in the sidebar. I was just going to put those more in narrative form in the body, just so both sides are expressed.
Yeah, I can't see it in the on my phone. Yeah, it just.
Oh, okay. I see.
I can look at it later.
Yeah.
Okay.
What was it in relation to, Tony?
Yeah, if you could summarize what your point was.
Yeah, so there was comments in there about there was a narrative in there about how long-term rentals tenants respect the property more than in short-term rentals, and that certainly has not been my experience having had both forms of rental, and so I wanted to express that, and then I copied some information out of an article that was similar to it was the opposite view of what was in there, just to express both sides.
And just to be clear, this is all, everything I got here are just general complaints people have about short-term rentals. It's nothing I wrote. It's and you can probably see this kind of list in many places. So just generally, I did want to point out that there is some difference between rentals and short-term rentals. And I do encourage you to make an edit with your point too, because I think it's valid and needs to be seen.
Yeah, I think it's the difference, not necessarily who are responsible and people who are not. I mean, there's certainly long-term rentals in Sun Valley that are problems.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think it's a good point. I don't know how we can say it so that,
yeah.
I don't know how we can say that. Some
Well-
people care and some people don't, whether they're
It
long or
was-
short-term rentals.
It was our concern before. Cause I was like, I wanna protect my house, right?
Yeah.
That is my house that I'm gonna live in,
Right.
right? Like, I wanna protect it and was told over and over again. What house do you know that people live in where you have a housekeeper in there every week cleaning? You know what I mean? What house do you know like that has that kind of level of oversight, care? And people, to Tony's point, I think in the article that he was reading, they also like, we're allowed to leave reviews and say if they did something bad to our house, it's public. You know what I mean? Like, it ruins their ability to rent further, so people are even, I think, kinder. And whereas there's no such review system for bad tenants for long-term rentals, if there was, we would have stories to tell.
Well, I think that these points that we have here are general perceptions people have.
Yeah.
And I want to assuage them, in any way we can. I mean, if it's just a perceived problem, that's fine, but I think we should at least address it. I highlighted the ones that I thought were ones that I think that we did address, and if not, maybe we should dig into it a little bit deeper, is the parking, trash, and noise. I could not find anywhere in our docs or bylaws about quiet hours. I looked.
There isn't.
Yeah.
There is not.
I look too.
Lori mentioned ones that are just basically refers back to what,
Whatever.
Whatcom County laws, which is 10 PM to
Okay.
7 AM, other than contractors or outdoor.
The outdoor,
Equipment.
it has our thing in here. I mean, in our rules and regulations, it states hours for contractors.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But it
Contractors
doesn't-
or doing loud yard work, I think, or something. Isn't that in there
Yeah.
too? No, but
But
Right, yeah,
it's
I saw that, but
yeah,
I don't know if
there's-
it needs to-
probably, I'm guessing that if you have short-term renters in there, you're not gonna have problem with early yard.
no, I'm just saying that's the only other, I'm just saying that's the only other mention.
I'm guessing that's not gonna be an issue.
Yeah.
But that is something that the board would have to set a policy then, that there's policy of quiet hours from 10 to 7.
So I did include that in our tenant regulations as a highlight, but I did with the just asterisk, like do we need to fill this
Yeah.
out? Or is this a bigger issue that we need to address? So that's how I'll present it to the board. Because it seems like we need a number there. Like if it hits 10 o'clock and people are still hooting and hollering, then
Yes.
people need to know what time you can do that.
Yeah.
If people get crazy till 10 o'clock, that's fine.
We're talking
Well,
outside,
and I think
noise outside of the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Either that can be heard
that can be,
from outside of the house or is, you can just, depending on how old the homes are here and how good the windows are, you can hear people's televisions.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
but I would say, what we're really talking about is noise disturbance,
Right.
not noise.
Yeah.
and I think that might be a difference between long-term and short-term rentals, only because short-term rentals are here on vacation.
Mhm.
So that is a different mindset than we gotta get the kids up for school the next day. I mean,
Right,
so
right.
the
There are-
noise might be something that we just need to make people aware of, that they're in a neighborhood and,
Mhm.
There are slight distinctions. I mean, I
And
don't think you can deny that. Yeah. But it would be nice if, not just for short-term rentals, but everybody, if we knew what the debt cutoff was. So I think that's something that the board just needs to look at in general. And also the parking passes that we're talking about, I would like to incorporate that somehow into this too. And that's another thing about that.
Right,
So I've been
and
talking with Rick about how he had, rolled that out and how that would work with short-term rentals. It's an ongoing discussion, so that'll be part of.
Yeah.
it could, it could work the way it's working now, because they would have to be passes that are maybe like, that hang on your rearview mirror or something,
right.
that are left in the unit for the visitors to use.
Right.
And right now, so it would
They're not
have to
gonna get
be,
stickers.
it wouldn't have to be,
Well, what do
Right
they
now,
get, what do you
there's a
get
sign.
when you do get a temporary parking pass here? You
you
know,
have to give them your name, rank, and serial number.
Are you talking about the
Wait.
ones that they use for like parking your RV somewhere for a few days?
No.
The
What
new
temporary
is that
parking
all, is
passes?
that all there is? I mean,
There
If
aren't
you,
any
if temporary, like if you need to park. If you need to park something like down in the golf parking lot.
yeah,
For a few days because of for whatever reason.
even if it's my car.
You just go to security or admin, I'm not sure now, it used to be security. You would go to security and they would just note that you're, give you permission to park. I don't even remember if they gave you something or they just noted it so that they drove around, they knew
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
there. I don't know what they're doing now, but I think it's 7, they'll give like I don't know, we had 2 boats at one time when we were selling ours and they allowed us to park our boat. If for a week or so. So,
I've rented before from places that had a hangar that they left 2
Mhm.
hangars in the unit, and sometimes it was for a place to park. Like you could only put 2 cars on our property, but if you want, you can go down to the XYZ parking lot and hang this on your thing and you can park down.
which would be fine, but right now it would have to be a sticker that was registered to the address, not to a vehicle.
right.
Because it's gonna
Yes.
change vehicles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And then if there was a problem with it and whoever, security admin, whoever looked up and they saw, oh, 1056 belongs to 40 Valley Crest Way. Oh, look, they're a short-term rental. Let me
right,
hunt
yeah.
those people down.
And the hangar could just say short-term rental and then
Uh-huh,
the address or whatever, or maybe not address, but some kind of identifier on it so that they can immediately know.
yeah, I don't think you want to put address.
Yeah, I guess
because
if
they
it
would
had a
know-
number, then they could look at, then they could go look.
I mean, I saw the article in the Views. And Tony and I discussed it very briefly. He just completed a trial today. That's why he's not here with me all this month. It's very sad. But we were kind of talking about the confusion, and I also talked to my neighbors. We went to a concert together here since I've been here. And I asked them about the parking situation, and they didn't know anything about the parking pass. But anyway, Tony and I had we understood it 2 different ways. Tony understood that if you don't have a parking pass, that you will be fined if you park, like I went to the beach, right? And I didn't have a pass, and that there's somebody policing parking lots and that you will be fined. Is that what happening? No, this is voluntary at the moment, right? And I told him, I was like, nobody is policing the parking lot that I saw. And I did wonder relative to guests, if it was some kind of citation situation, like what if you happen to be driving like a family member's car when our family comes and visits and we're with a friend or family's car, right? I just was confused
There might
about
be
how that's even working.
people from the long-term planning that are on a sunny day that might be driving around and if there's, I'm just saying, if there's a huge hot day and it's crowded parking down at AM/PM Beach, someone might go out and count the number of cars and count how many have stickers to kind of give them an idea of how many are residents. And then
That
the
was
ones
my
without
understanding.
stickers means they're either non-residents or residents without stickers.
Right.
It doesn't really.
Yeah, I think that
That
is,
is,
It's just
yeah.
temporary assessing kind of
Just to get
situation
the
right
program
now.
started,
Okay.
and if it's determined that a majority, I'm assuming that if it's determined that a majority of the people parking here are not from Sun Valley, or there's a good proportion that are not from Sun Valley, then a parking sticker thing may be implemented.
yeah, I think that they realize that most people here would like to kind of keep our amenities to Sudden Valley. So they want to find out how much of a problem it actually is.
But relative to the lake, I mean, that's an agreement that is a public use land.
Yes.
We cannot exclude people.
No,
At this
we can
point-
charge them,
Yeah.
we can require a parking sticker and we can charge them $20 a day to get a parking sticker.
Really?
Yeah.
What I would say, if we can, because this meeting has to be short, if maybe
Yeah.
we can just adjust this to say that if a sticker situation becomes mandatory, then there should be a process in place for short-term renters, because beyond that, we don't have any say so of what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think it's something that we're not gonna have a solution for, by, next week, but there are
Yeah.
some things that we want as an ongoing discussion. Tony,
I would agree with that sentiment.
do you have parking on your property for all your renters, or what do you do if they have like,
We have a large driveway. There's plenty of parking. I mean, you can probably get 6 cars in our driveway.
We also specifically state in our listing, no more than 3 cars. Cause we have stated in our listing how many cars we believe will fill, are reasonable for the number of bedrooms we have. And for the size of driveway we have, so we designate no more than 3 cars and no street parking, we put that in our listing. Tony doesn't always know what's in the listing, cause I do most of the management of that stuff, so that's why I spoke up.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
We're happy to get your view.
Accurate.
And yeah, and Rick, the guy that's kind of the architect of the parking thing, told me the timeline he wrote. I've been asking about this. I want to make sure we do it right and don't. I want everybody to be aware of what's going on, our policies for the STR. And I know there's been a lot of controversy about the parking and just people understanding what it's about and where it came from. And I wanted to make sure that we didn't run into those same questions too. And I think the fact that the board brought us all together to talk about this is helpful.
Well, you guys have talked before about having kind of guidelines that you recommend, not require, right, of renters, and I think like what we do is a reasonable recommendation too, right? To have a limitation on number of cars and state that in your listing.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, I think this is all, what our process here is just essentially about accountability. We don't want anything be too onerous on anybody, but there have been complaints about just sometimes it's just the idea of having short-term rentals. It may be just a perceived problem, but we don't want to overstep, but we also want to be able to answer to our neighbors about what we're doing and what recourse they have if there are problems.
What I would almost like to see, you mentioned under parking, it may say something like, parking space, available parking must be stated in listing and must not exceed the amount of cars which could be accommodated on the driveway. And that's kind of telling them that it has to be, if your driveway will only accommodate 1 car, you can't say that there's 2 cars. If it'll accommodate 6, you could say up to 6 cars or whatever, but it must be in all, because how are we going to enforce allowed on the street anywhere? That's not enforced with the residents. How are you gonna enforce that?
Well, I don't think we put that in there anywhere. She's just saying that that's what they say, which is totally fine. It would be great if everybody would say
Well,
that.
isn't it right on the, am I looking at something old then? This was in the,
You're probably looking at literally on the street,
But
like
yeah,
tires on the street.
this is no parking is allowed on the street anywhere in Sudden Valley.
That really is literally on the street. You're
On the
talking about
street,
parking on like the shoulders.
Okay, yeah, then it says unintended parking on paved roads or shoulders where any part of the vehicle projects into a traffic lane is prohibited.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. So that's just,
you're not literally thinking that your tenants are gonna park literally on the street. You're just
No,
that
we
you
tell
don't want
them
them.
how much space is in our driveway.
Yes,
And it accommodates 3 cars, and that's the maximum number
Right,
of cars.
okay.
we allow.
if you're not telling them they
it's
can't
just
park.
my
on the shoulders,
interpretation. When I hear
No, we
on-street
understand that.
parking, I take it means out off the property. When I see off-street parking, I don't think of it as in the shoulder. I think of it as in my property.
A lot of the shoulders don't necessarily, it's not obvious who those shoulders, they don't belong to, but you know what I mean? Like whose property it even is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wish there was a way we could say just only in your driveway or your designated parking for your lot. But I don't know.
For all residents? For all.
Yeah, for all residents.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Not up to me.
Because we
Louis,
have,
you drive just crazy, their cars.
we have so many
always
on the street, we
hanging
can't
from-
pass 2 cars.
What was that?
We have so many people parking on the streets that 2 cars
Oh.
can't pass.
Yeah, yeah, we
Are
sometimes.
they literally on the street? Like tires on the pavement?
Some,
Well, then, I
We
mean,
get
that's
that
why
on
we
the drive sometimes.
but even we have some that you can't. The street's narrow.
Yeah,
We're not
I
a
know.
main artery, you know, it's.
Yeah, sometimes the tire's not on the road, but by the time the mirrors are there, it
Mhm.
feels like you're.
Yeah, cause even. 'cause
I
you
see a
can't-
lot of. I know.
Yeah, Daniel doesn't want to move his car off the road though. So yeah, I'm good with it. I think this looks, I can't comment because I'm on my phone, but I think everything looks good on the guest registration. That's not where Tony had marks. No, it was in the,
Yeah, his
No, I
were,
think Jane and I had some comments on there.
on the concerns, or where was it?
Well, this was also on the rental registration form. Isn't that what we're talking about right now?
We are now.
go ahead.
Yeah. No, so there was just under those additional acknowledgements, there was a couple things that we had talked about in the comments there.
I think just recently I took out that last
I
line.
didn't see it.
The registration number one.
Yeah, that's
You took that one.
And then didn't
What
we,
about
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think we're gonna say the same.
Go ahead.
thing. The one above the number.
Yeah.
About that they have to post guest guidelines. Can we say that?
I mean, I don't see why we can't say that, but it's not like we're gonna go in and check.
Okay.
I think it's a really good recommendation.
Well,
Nobody's gonna get a fine for not posting it,
Okay.
but I think it's an important thing to stress. I mean, you've got no problem
It
having
does-
that
it does
line.
say must.
Posting guidelines that Sudden Valley has.
To town there.
Here's, I guess here's my only thing on that is, I mean, I don't mind if we put it that the board recommends that we post them, but I think when you say it is mandatory, but there won't be a fine, I'm not sure we can guarantee that. I mean, it seems like if you're going to make something mandatory, then somebody's going to try and enforce it at some point. That's my only concern. And I don't want to lose the freedom to put the rules that I think are important for my property, you know, up in there. But I certainly would have no problem saying it is recommended that owners inform guests of the Sudden Valley rules. I mean, I have no problem with that.
So where would that go then?
Well, just in that section where we right now, it says owners must approve, or wait, I'm sorry, must post that, just put the
Or
board
recommended.
Yeah, the board recommends that owners post guidelines relevant to their property, informing guests of Sudden Valley rules, something like that.
Or even just make the guidelines readily available. Like, that doesn't have to be like on a poster, right? Maybe they have a guest book and maybe you just put it in the front page of the guest book, or you send it in a message when the guest completes the booking, as like, just make sure that you read, you know, there are links to whatever the house rules are, and maybe in the house rules they're posted there, and that's, you know.
What would be to have this, keep this as it is there are some regulations that a lot of guests probably wouldn't be aware of that really would affect all of Sudden Valley. Like, you can't have fires, you can't walk around with a gun. There's some things that go beyond just, you know, renter and owner relationship. I mean, these are important things that we want to make sure that people know. If they're going to stay in Sudden Valley, these are very important guides and regulations. So and again, as far as compliance, there's absolutely no way we're going to be able to, nobody could ever find out if you actually posted this or not. That's just unenforceable, but I don't see why we couldn't just put that as a sure, why not kind of thing.
As a recommended or as a you are required?
Well, we don't even, I guess, don't say required, but you know, maybe just check that you read it, that kind of thing, like and user license. So I'm fine with not stating that it's mandatory or required, but if you want to reword that in some way that you feel more comfortable with, I'm fine, but I do think it needs to be pretty clear.
What about if we just remove must with like highly recommends, or, you know,
Yeah.
we highly recommend that you post this, and then some kind of inclusion that. You know, something that says, of course, you can put up your own rules, but the reality is, we want the owners to understand that their guests are still responsible for following all the rules. And if we tell you should put that thing up and you didn't do it, and now you can't say, oh, my guest didn't know. And I shouldn't get fined because my guest didn't know, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't want that to be an escape valve, for people.
Right. I didn't know
I
we
agree with
can't.
that.
What if we did
Agree with
something like that says owners, I agree, or something that says, as an owner, I understand that SBCA guest guidelines and rules and regulations must be made available to the guests and followed. And that's really bad language. I was just getting the thought out there that what they're fine, because this is not what the guest marks out. This is what the owner marks out. So we just want them to acknowledge that they understand it is their responsibility, not Sudden Valley's responsibility, to provide the rules and regulations to their.
That's actually a good, that would be a good solution. I do still think
Worded
that,
much better than I just said.
I do think it would still be a good idea for Sun Valley to produce something that can be given to people, because if they aren't good, you know, landlords or whatever, they just might not ever get around to doing anything. I don't know. I mean, if I'm like you, if it were me, I would have, I mean, I wouldn't want to be that person who signs all over my house like some places do, where it's
Well,
like,
wouldn't it
make sure
just
you
be,
turn off the wall.
wouldn't it just be printing out our rules and regulations and putting it in a binder?
I think it's too much language for guests to absorb, unless it's like a shortened version, because our rules and regulations and the other things are scattered everywhere. So to me, I think having a guest-friendly, either colorful flyer or a 2-page thing, just saying these are the rules.
So that's what we have.
Yeah, but maybe pretty up a little bit, so
Yeah.
it catches people's
It just,
eye.
so you could, I would say,
Who wants to reword it?
attached to the.
I think we all kind of.
We could just put some, we can all just write our summary on there, and you can pick whichever one.
I would provide it. If Sudden Valley wants to provide an example, if the owner chooses to use that example, they could choose to do that, or they could choose to do their own. But
For your convenience.
Yeah, there you go.
Valley has.
Sudden Valley, yes,
Yeah.
has
So I
a,
would, I guess that everybody sort of added this a little bit, you know, put comments in and I'll clean it up and.
okay.
Yeah.
Again, this is all
We
gonna
can
be
fix that.
reworded at some point.
Do a voting process in a Google Drive, just kidding.
And again, make sure you,
Insert your sad emoji.
Yeah, right, yeah, happy or sad.
and make sure everybody's working on the most recent thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the only other one that I think we need to at least talk about is that the owners must be available 24/7 to immediately address issues, and we cite the RCW for that. And, you know, in principle, I don't have a problem with that. The only thing is that the RCW that we cite to isn't applicable if you live in the home for 6 months. So not everyone would be required to actually do that.
And if we were gonna make a requirement for that, we would have to make a policy for that, I would guess.
That would be
Well, I
my
think-
understanding.
Rental thing's going to have to be a new
Yeah.
policy.
So how would you word this then?
So we need to
I'm not
take
quite
out-
sure what the distinction is.
We have to take the RCW out, because the RCW only applies to the rentals that fall under the definition of a short-term rental by Washington State, which we know is not.
So just take that citation out?
Well,
take
I
that-
mean, I think I would say that owners must provide contact information to be able to address issues. Because that's actually, I think, the way I'd have to go back and read the RCW again, but I think that's the way that the RCW is written. Is that
That's right, Tony. The RCW does not say 24/7. I think that was in that Suncade or somewhere where I saw that originally.
Yeah, maybe.
yeah. And maybe that's just me trying to be, you know, looking too close to the law, but
I mean, what if we just said they have to be available immediately, when we don't define what immediately is? I mean, I guess my problem is that
I would just say
What if
have
they
to
don't-
be available.
Yeah, what if there's, I guess, here's the thing, if there's a noise complaint and the owner's not available to be contacted,
The
what
owner's
is gonna?
gonna get the
the owner's
fine.
Right.
Yeah, the owner's gonna get a
Well,
fine.
and it does say on the second page, the alternate contact provided by the owner. So maybe that needs to be in the sentence sooner. Because it says, if Sudden Valley is taking enforcement action against guests, owner cannot be contacted, Sudden Valley will contact the alternate contact provided by the owner.
So
So
what,
I think that has to be in the sentence sooner, so, you know.
what were you saying you thought it should say, Tony?
That the
Owners-
owners must provide contact information to address concerns. And I would just cite, let's see, let me see if I can take a run at it here. Sorry, I'm a little brain dead because as Carrie said, I've been in a trial for the last 2 weeks and I'm haven't had enough sleep. But owners must provide contact information to address any issues that arise in their rental home during the rental period. Is that
What-
fair?
That's pretty much what the forms are. I mean, that doesn't say any more than what the form already says. You know, owner's phone number, owner's email.
That's the form, yeah.
My concern here is I want to address the fact that if one of the guests is making noise at midnight, and I don't care if you get a fine, I still need to go to sleep. So-
Oh, that is true.
So how would you word this to address that?
So what if it's like immediate issues must be, or like safety or otherwise like disruption or noise complaint type issues or whatever we want to define that as must be addressed within X amount of time by either the owner or the authorized alternate contact. And I think we need to make this a little bit tighter as far as like, what does immediately mean, right? Like, I think immediately, like, am I going to be fined if it's 5 minutes, if it's 30 minutes, if it's an hour? So that language, I think, needs to be a little bit more clear, but maybe we can create the provision where, like you said, it doesn't matter if it's the owner or if it's the alternate contact, but someone needs to be boots on the ground to be able to address the issue. Within a reasonable amount of time. And so did we say it was 30 minutes? 24/7 and immediately are just kind of a little bit like loose.
What if we said owners or their alternate contact may be contacted to address any issues that arise or any safety or noise issues that arise in the rental home during any rental period? I would take
Why would
out,
we say may be contacted?
not maybe, like maybe, or
Yeah.
will be, maybe, can be.
There's a lot of differences between
Yeah.
maybe and.
Well, but this is really ambiguous because none of this is enforceable, so.
Yeah,
Um,
well, it will be.
This is
because-
enforceable.
Yeah.
What you're saying, if they're
Well-
not available, that is enforceable.
well, what are we gonna do?
So
If they don't,
Yeah, what would happen if somebody's having a party and we call the owner and the owner's not there, or the owner doesn't do anything about it, the only way we can enforce it is to call the sheriff and file a noise complaint.
I'm not sure
Our
that's true.
security's not gonna shut them down.
They're not gonna shut them down, but they can be fined.
They can be fined, but soon, those fines are not gonna be enforceable until there's a hearing.
Well,
And the renter's gonna be.
compliant, I think
compliant, yeah.
compliance is another issue.
But I mean,
Yeah, that's 3 years out.
but that's way, I mean, I would do. It's where it says if Sudden Valley is taking enforcement action against the guests, agents or guest invitees of a short-term rental and the owner cannot be immediately reached, Sudden Valley should contact, I think they should be able to contact the alternate contact even if there's not enforcement action. So like if you call the owner and the owner doesn't answer, you can, if you wait and you don't get a call back or anything in 15 minutes, you should be able to call that alternate.
Well, it says that on the second page.
But it only says if they're taking enforcement action.
But that is enforcement action, otherwise who's gonna be calling?
Well, what's enforcement action?
any action that you're taking to try to make people abide by our rules.
Right, it doesn't necessarily mean a fine, it means we're taking action, we have called the owner. We're gonna try to get in touch with the alternate contact, because we want to be able to stop whatever disturbance is happening.
Then why don't we just take out the RCW thing and leave it as is?
Yeah, I think so.
Just take out the
I
citation.
think we need to take out the 24/7. I think that's the other problem that Tony said, 24/7. I mean, maybe we can try something like within an hour. I mean, there are plenty of other places to
Just
say
say
that, and I don't know, like, I don't see this as being a legal issue that someone's gonna be, I don't feel like this puts us in legal jeopardy, and I'm sure our attorney will review everything and say, you can't do that with, or you can.
So
No,
I was just,
If you want to take out the
You made a-
27 is fine, or if we want to just say the owners will be available to address things within a reasonable time. Because I'm also back to the immediate, like if I get a call at midnight and I don't pick it up on the first ring, is that a violation? If I call back within 15 minutes, is that, that type of thing?
I think we probably fine. With some limit. Otherwise, it's always gonna be a gray area. I thought 3 hours was immediate. I thought 15 minutes was immediate. We
Yeah,
probably
so
need.
within 30 minutes?
Can I suggest, I don't know if we need to put a time or if there's a time outlined in some noise complaint or some in the Sudden Valley Community Association rules and regulations. I know that we said that the quiet hours aren't in there, which we should, I think, tighten up and define. But what if it said owners or their designated contacts must be reachable at all times to address any issues, including emergencies, noise complaints, or safety concerns. Failure to respond promptly may result in enforcement actions as outlined in the SVCA rules and regulations.
that's good, go back and listen to it.
That sounds.
Yeah.
Good.
Did you write that? Put that as a comment in the
Yeah, I'll
notes?
just type it in. I'll put it in as or do you want me to just put it
Yeah.
as a comment?
When this gets posted to YouTube, it has a transcript with it. You can get the transcript and see exactly what she said.
I'm sure she can
Yeah, I'm gonna comment it here.
recreate the magic.
I've got it there.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was, I mean, and then I think that we should outline what that enforcement action looks like in the SVCA rules and regulations if it's not already in there. And we might allude to whatever we decide that enforcement action is in this particular clause. But I think this kind of accomplishes that we're just front loading owners or their designated contact or their authorized, whatever we call it up there, their alternate contact.
Yeah, I think the GM would probably be the one that would come up with adjustments to the fines.
Right, yeah, I don't think that's ever gonna be our charge.
Not of this committee.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
it's-
this leaves space for it to change and move over time, just saying, that the enforcement action is going to fall into whatever in accordance with whatever is current with the Sudden Valley rules and regulations at the time. So maybe it's just better to leave it as that, where it is defined somewhere, but it's not like oh, try and find out. It's like, well, this is going to be enforceable in accordance with whatever the rules are.
Well, Tony, how would, if there were a noise problem with your property, how would you best like it to unfold? Say a neighbor complained, got to security, how would you like to see that unfold?
An immediate call to me so that I can starting to address it with the guests. I mean, that's how I would like it.
What do you mean by immediate?
Well, as soon as you guys are ready to call, I will, want to start addressing it. That's
Problem with being available 24/7, right?
no, I don't have any problem with that. I mean, I feel like I'm available 24/7 to all my other tenants. So believe me.
No, I'm thinking about there are times sometimes if I'm busy and I forgot to set a lock code, because we have unique lock codes on our smart thing. And the guests are like, I can't get in the house, and I'm like, oh no, right? And we were like at a concert one time and that happened, but I still, like, within 30 minutes that, you know. Remotely, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And do you have an alternate contact?
we have,
Yeah.
we're friends with people here in town that
Yeah.
have helped me with a variety, and also our neighbors, like,
Right,
you know, they would help out
yeah.
all the time. They always help us.
Yeah, I'm just not sure with some
Multiple
people
neighbors.
who, the one that was up the street from me, I ended up finding the guy and reaching out to him about an issue that had been happening with the trash cans, but he didn't even know his neighbors' names.
Yeah.
He lived somewhere else. He bought the house in Sun Valley to move here eventually, which he didn't do. He sold it to somebody else down the road, but he didn't have any backup plan for anything. So that it is really important to have the alternate. I mean, there are plenty of times where I'm not available to answer my phone. So you gotta have somebody
Yeah,
else who
yeah.
can, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's helpful.
I had
Uh-huh.
a thought about the conditional use permit number that we're requiring here. I think in another meeting, we had said where some cases don't require a conditional use permit number, some do. Do we want to add in there if required, or do we want to take that clause out entirely to, I think Lori had pointed out, like this is kind of up to the county to enforce this. We're not going to be enforcing this. You know, it's not up to us to tell people what they need to do in order to have a valid short-term rental in accordance with the county. And so does it even matter to have that place there if we're not enforcing that?
I wouldn't care if it said if applicable, but I do think that if nothing else, it at least makes somebody think, God, I wonder if I'm supposed to have a conditional
right.
use.
I agree.
I wonder if I'm supposed to have a business license to do this.
Mhm.
So, I mean, as long as we're not, requiring them to give us the documents, because why would they? We don't have any control over it, but.
Mm-hmm. But if someone, for example, doesn't have a conditional use permit number, they say not applicable, or they just leave that blank, is there any recourse, or are we digging deeper into that, or who's doing that?
I think that this may be like a multiple choice kind of thing. Maybe when they create this document or this online form, it may be an option there. Whoever constructs this, or once we hand this to them, I think those decisions will be made there. I think. Is there any opinion as far as our committee goes, whether that should be included or not? Because I have no problem with leaving it in there. And
I think if we should just put if applicable.
Yeah, I would be,
Okay.
same thing with the UBI. It's not, doesn't matter to us if they have a UBI, it matters to the tax man. We're not responsible for that, but we should,
Ariel's putting it in right now.
it's a good reminder.
Thank you.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
Now the UBI, everybody has to have that, right?
I think
That's
there are
good
some
point.
exceptions to that, depending on if you're renting less than a certain amount of money a year kind of thing, and certain number of rooms or whatever.
Okay.
So safe enough just to say if applicable, and like Jane said, I think it was Jane that said this, that makes you think like, oh, am I supposed to have this? Oh, am I supposed to have this? And then that's just kind of an inflection point where someone might just start doing some due diligence rather than thinking like, oh, I can just do this and no one's gonna care. It's just like a small friction point and just a checkpoint.
So yeah, I guess the point of these two is more to make people think about it. We're never going to enforce either one of those. Is it correct?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it as being our role.
Right.
And as far as we understand, doesn't sound like Whatcom County is doing much enforcement of it either. So, but I mean, I guess as long as all of our regulations are being complied with as outlined in, what we just created here of the guest regulations, it shouldn't be.
Maybe we can get in trouble if they don't. I mean, it says you do need if you rent it out 3 or more times a year, you need a UBI. But I don't think there's any way Sudden Valley could be held responsible for tax implications with Department of Revenue
Right,
if the homeowner
Right,
decides
yeah.
not to, because that's a business they're doing in their house. So I don't see if there's any reason why we would have to see that. And you know, when looking at the forms, sometimes less is more.
Mm,
And when you have too much information that they have to give, you know, first of all, it's gonna be voluntary. Our objective is to know which properties in Sudden Valley are short-term rentals and a contact number for the person if something goes wrong. That's our main objective, right? I mean, that's
Well, I don't think this is gonna be voluntary.
right, right. But I guess there's a voluntary period to do it before.
Right, yeah.
So everything in here we need, and number of parking spaces is good. I don't know. The type of STR use, I would almost add a second box that says it's a mixed use of owner occupied. Well, not owner occupied, owners not present during guest days. I would almost like to know, is it full-time, like year-round, or is it like where sometimes you're living there and when you're not there, you're renting it out? I don't know if we need to know that or not, it would just help. I don't know, maybe we don't need to know any of it. Owner occupied and non-owner occupied, I think is fine. I would almost get rid of UBI and conditional use permit unless we want it there to prompt
I would
them
just
to
leave it
get
there.
it.
It's not,
Just say
it's not.
Yeah.
applicable.
The reality is this form is very short. It asks for just a
Yeah.
few things and
So
it asks
what
you to
if
check
they
off a few
don't,
things.
so
and-
what if they don't fill in it? See, when you
They
fill out
don't
the
fill out
form,
the
it's gonna be a mandatory, non-mandatory completion. So Whatcom County conditional use permit number, if applicable, will be optional. I mean, they won't be required to complete that to move on to the next question. But what about UBI? Is that gonna be a required field?
I don't think either one of those would be required. They're just both if applicable.
Yeah, I agree.
And even if the type of STR use doesn't provide us with any kind of regulatory agency, at least we kind of know. I mean, for one thing, it is kind of gathering data, like how many do we really have where there's no one,
Right, yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Right, and what it would do too is if they checked that there was owner occupied and there is a disturbance in the house, then you know that knocking on the door is probably gonna be able to contact the owner.
Yes.
Mario, did you have a point?
I was just gonna say it's a little bit, this language here is owners, and then next line, I understand and acknowledge that, and then each of the things start with owners, owners, owners. So I'm just changing it to, as the property owner, I acknowledge and understand that. And then it's, I am responsible, I am responsible, I am designated, I must submit, this property complies, and I must post. It just cleans up the.
I think the only reason that I started it out that way and pretty much went on that way is because I literally took the first two directly out of our rules and regulations.
Mm-hmm.
Through a language that's in there, just in case anybody cares about that. Maybe they don't.
I see. Yeah, just
Just take out the word owners as a subheading and just put, I understand and acknowledge that, and then owners. Cause this form is only for owners.
Yeah.
So we don't need to direct the owners, we don't need to direct it to owners again,
So what you're saying is you would say, I understand and acknowledge that.
and then leave everything the self as owners.
And just take out the.
Just
word
take out the
owners.
title, owners.
yeah, as the property owner, I understand and acknowledge that I am responsible. I am responsible. I.
Take out this right here,
Yeah.
but leave everything else the same.
No, I think she's saying about taking owners out of all these sub.
Yeah, she is.
She did, but
Yeah.
but because you got it right out of the guidelines, I would leave it there.
Yeah.
I would leave it as is and just take out that owner subheading. And then
Oh,
I just
yeah,
think, I understand that. And
Yeah,
then
that's
owner-
not really, I don't even know what that is there. It's not really, it's just. But Ariel, you're saying that you think that each line item should not start with owners must or.
I don't
owners
think
all.
it makes it, I mean, I just, like, if this is like, I am signing this and I am acknowledging these things as an I'm the subject. It's like third person to say owners are responsible. Like presumably I am the owner filling this out. So it's more like even more onus on me if I'm saying I am, I.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see
I like
that.
the idea of consistency, but I think some of our documents need some editing anyway, so I think that's a good fix.
Okay, so I'll just, as the property owner, I understand. I don't know, it's kind of, the formatting's not letting me like change it. It's just showing like a weird, I'm trying to edit it and it's just continuing to keep the format as is, so that was my suggestion.
All right, well, I guess then just at least make a comment and I'll get in there and edit that.
Yeah.
You probably would want this property complies with down below too, because then all of a sudden, unless you don't care that it's and then all of a sudden it's like, this property complies with, and then you're back to I must post the approved below.
Yeah, we can say that my property complies.
Oh, I guess that one after that anyway was gonna be rewritten to say that SVCA recommends that you post, so that doesn't even. My comment doesn't apply.
Or even just saying, I acknowledge the recommendation from the board to, the strong recommendation from the board to post a flyer in a conspicuous location, blah, blah, blah.
Dang, 15 minutes, so. You got 15.
And why do we have that last paragraph there? Is there something in there that we haven't already addressed in all the above things that they've checked off?
Where did that come from?
I don't know.
Was that part of the that other registration form we used?
Could be, I don't remember.
We could probably take that out since we were already acknowledging.
Yeah, maybe.
It might have been just a clause to acknowledge anything else that's not explicitly stated above. Like, I acknowledge all of these things and with all the initials by each of them. And then like for these and all the other Sudden Valley Community Association bylaws, and I'm familiar with all of them. And then I sign.
Except for I'm
Yeah,
not
so
sure I want to acknowledge that. I don't know all the voting bylaws, and all that stuff, and I don't think I have to know that to run an STR. But
well, it's if there's a law that you say you don't know about or a regulation you don't know about, I'll say, well, you signed this and said you were familiar with it.
Yeah, kind of covers anything we left out.
Yeah.
right, but I think we've put in the important ones, didn't we, in the first two? Isn't that?
Sorry.
Yeah, basically saying that owners are responsible for all of the governing documents being upheld.
Right. So acknowledging that I am aware of the quorum requirements to run a meeting and notice requirements and all of that, it seems.
That's regarding short-term rentals. It doesn't say everything.
Okay, let's see. Let me just.
But I think that's the thing though, is that by saying I'm responsible for my guests and their invitees and my agents for their compliance in all governing documents. Okay, yeah, well, most of those don't apply to those people, but at least it's completely covered that anything that could apply to those people, they must comply with, or I will be responsible for it by paying a fine.
Yeah, I mean,
That bottom line.
I don't have
Just-
a strong opinion. It just seems extra.
Are we talking about that last one where it's the conspicuous location? I think what we were saying earlier, where I acknowledge that it's the strong recommendation of the board or, whoever of SVCA to.
No, it's the very.
We're talking about the very last one, Ariel.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
In bold, what's in bold at the bottom?
Yeah, I've got you.
I mean, in a way, that paragraph is like a substitution for the first two things that they check off.
Yeah, I don't think it needs.
Which you could say, but it doesn't give the actual language of the government.
I mean, it says that they're responsible for their guests, but we don't know that they know what they're saying they're responsible for because they haven't read the rules or the bylaws.
You know,
Necessarily.
you can't claim that no knowledge of the law is a reason for you not to be prosecuted, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it as redundant. I think it encapsulates sort of everything. It's a catch-all, I think.
It probably won't hurt to leave it there.
Unless somebody has some real objection. I don't think it's objectionable. I think it's just maybe a little extraneous, but I think it's kind of a catch-all. And we can leave that as
I mean, I don't care.
it might be a legal thing that
There's a
tack on there anyway.
lot more important things to worry about.
Like what?
Like all the other stuff we dealt with, but having some extra language that they have to agree to is probably not a big deal.
Okay, so we have 15 more minutes in this meeting. Does anybody intend to be at the board meeting? Other than Lori?
What?
We present this? Oh, you're not gonna be there.
I'm gonna try to zoom in.
Okay,
Oh,
it's all
one meeting.
I'll be in.
So that's on the 28th, right?
I am not positive, but I know it's on Thursday.
27th
Next
is the
Thursday.
next town hall.
Is there a reason why we need to be there?
I just to represent yourself, and if there's anything that I missed that you want to include,
I'll try to be there.
I'm happy to try to take it on myself. But I'm happy to have you all there to
Moral support.
moral support, and I don't want to miss any important points that you're with your concerns.
Yeah.
To prove that he actually has a committee.
You're right.
You can sit
Say aye.
at my spot, just be there.
Oh,
for me,
yeah,
okay?
right. Well,
But we will all be at the, hopefully at the town hall the day before.
When is the town hall? That's the
27th at 6:30.
okay. Anything else we want to cover here? I will look at. Good, Aria.
I just changed all of that language to I and my for all of those for consistency, and then changed that last clause to acknowledging that I'm responsible for making the SBCA rules and regulations accessible to my guests, and understand that the SBCA strongly recommends that I post the approved guidelines flyer in a conspicuous location in the rental home. I understand the flyer provides general guidance and, whatever. So it's just like changed all of the wording to I, just for consistency, grammatical consistency across these clauses here.
So what you added to the bottom there, the pink, does that take place of the other line? The very last one?
I didn't change that last one, I acknowledge and confirm. I was just talking about the last clause that we have for the initials.
Okay.
Just a suggestion,
Oh, go ahead.
since we were just talking about how the owners must post is a little bit onerous, as it were, and just to have it be more of a suggestion or strong recommendation rather than a requirement, since we're not enforcing it. We're not able to.
if I could just address something that's a general point.
Yeah.
We have repeated instances of things coming before the board out of committees or now out of this task force. And the community feeling like they're not having any input. And the decisions are being made and they're being passed quickly by the board, and then that's the end of that. So I hope that there's a way beyond just the board saying, this is what we're gonna do, and it starts next week, and you have 6 months to comply or whatever. I hope that there's a way that there can be some form of community input before the board.
The way we
decides what to do.
rolled out the new guidelines for the ACC, we did do that. We had a town hall meeting and we met with people, and Joanne and I would then add it based on, recommendations or suggestions that everybody had, we had a pretty good turnout for that. So we did make some guidelines. So that's how I would like to see this.
Yeah.
This.
I think that's really important. And, we're just a group of 6 people. There are things we could be completely have not paid any attention to or noticed or thought about that someone else could bring up that could be very significant in the decision that's made. So I mean, I think that in general, the board could probably learn a lesson on some things that it's better to get input and before something is just put out there and this is what's gonna happen. Cause then people get really defensive and they're like, wait a minute, something's being done to us.
Well, I think that could be
Or-
our recommendation, part of our
Yeah.
recommendations when we talk to the board, that's how we want to, that's how.
I'm not sure if somebody from the committee could share like the rationale, like, and
Yeah.
also do an explainer instead of this. To do things, you know what I mean? Again, to your point, sometimes narratives begin and they're just out there, right? You know what I mean? Without knowing what is legally viable,
Mhm.
what, without taking owners like us into consideration, right? Like providing nuance, because that is something that I feel like this discussion lacks. Many discussions
Mhm.
lack, right?
Right.
That kind of contextual
Sure.
information, just civic engagement, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
I don't know.
we need more of that in this world.
I don't know if you watched our last board meeting, but I thought it was absolutely awesome. I thought that the comment period, that there was back and forth discussion, I like that. I understand why sometimes there's not. Is because no one board member can speak and answer for the board, so. So that's why a lot of comments are just absorbed. We may talk about them, but there's not an immediate answer because that would be whoever's speaking up from the board would be answering for the
Right.
board. And then you could get into, are they binding, all that mess up. But I do think, but at a town hall meeting, it's gonna be completely different. It's not part of our board meeting, things like that. The problem, it would be great for anyone who's listening who plans to attend. No one is going to be 100% happy with the way it goes. And if somebody speaks up and their idea is not implemented, you can't then say they didn't listen to me. Because listening doesn't always mean the action's gonna go your way. And I think that's what happens a lot is that it's opened up to the community. Some vocal people from the community speak as if they're representing the majority of the community, and if it doesn't go their way, they go haywire, that the board didn't listen, they didn't do that, and actually the board listens quite often. You saw the number of emails we get, and things, we do listen, but just, there's a reason there's an elected board, and we're not a vote, the community vote on every single issue. It's because they were
Yeah.
elected to make these decisions with the best interest of the community in mind, not take everything to the community and let the community decide, and then just all we're doing is implementing it. So sometimes things have to go without going to the community. If it's like something like the barn, of course, that would be something to go to the community. This is going to affect such a small portion of the community. And I think delaying it, I mean, we could ask for, put out there, send comments in and have people write comments in and things like that. But I think really to have a whole town hall meeting over short-term rental form is kind of like,
I disagree.
it's,
And there are several reasons one is because of the current feeling right now and of us wanting to trust the board, but feeling like there have been things that have just said, okay, here you're gonna do this, here you're gonna do this, here you're gonna do this.
I don't know what those are because I
Okay, well,
I don't know what they are.
I'll tell you, and I will say that the board reacted and responded appropriately, which was great. And I don't know enough about the inner workings. I don't know with the town hall with the $8 million building that was presented. It didn't. The community had given input, and maybe that wasn't the board, but it was the long range planning committee that just said, okay, here, this is where we're going, A or B. And there was pushback, and the board responded and said, okay, we're gonna have another meeting. So that was really good.
So that's
But
long-term, the board's not involved in
I
that
know,
really.
however,
Yeah,
I'm just talking about
And I-
perception.
and they're putting out a new plan. I haven't seen it yet. Have you
Yes.
seen it?
And I understand that, and that's what we're talking about on the 27th. But I'm talking mostly, maybe not about reality, but perception. So with that in mind, I think it's important that we do try to have community input. And maybe you can say, we appreciated everybody and then trust
And you
us.
don't think that
to
could be
look up-
done at a board meeting?
I don't know.
I don't know, it possibly,
use it.
there,
Like the whole misinformation that was out there about the dog park decision that was made, that wasn't made.
With that though, was that members of the board went out and did something that gave the appearance that something might be changing in the dog park, but nothing had ever been discussed at a board meeting or whatever, so that immediately put the people at the dog park on defensive that something was going to be. A restriction was gonna be placed on them and they don't know anything
Yeah.
about this coming restriction, so the same.
nobody
thing
wants a
with this.
mystery, people want to know what's going on.
Yeah, this is
I didn't know anything was being done at the dog park.
The only reason I knew, I think,
Restriction on.
I think somebody saw them measuring out there, I think that was the
Yeah.
first red
Yeah.
flag.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
saw them with a measuring, a guy with a surveying machine going right.
Yeah,
on
I wasn't aware of anything going on.
Yeah,
Well-
neither until I came
Yeah.
to meet.
And-
Where is?
And the board said, we're not doing anything. Okay, so what we're talking about is perception. That's what I'm talking about. So that's, I just think, I do remember, annual meeting, a task force, I don't remember what meeting was that, maybe it was a, just a meeting that we had to talk about whatever, but there was a lot of back and forth about STRs, back and forth, enough that I
Yeah.
think that we need to kind of
I think
treat this
that-
with kid gloves.
I think that was at a board meeting. And
Yeah,
it was pretty much people saying, we don't want STRs here at all. And others saying, why not? We're not doing anything wrong.
yeah.
Right,
I-
but there's.
It's possible we could announce that
Because we don't need that going on, because that's just not gonna be
a
productive.
subsequent meeting may be able to handle this.
Big
I mean,
Diane's
Yeah.
trying to signal us.
Okay.
I think that, we'll discuss this, I know that we want a lot of visibility, I want this to be transparent. So let's, maybe give me some thoughts, email about how you think this could unfold. It may be just that we make an announcement that we will be talking about STRs at this board meeting.
And we'll allot maybe some extra time. or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Yeah, or
And give plenty of notice.
or even
Yes.
an open discussion session at 6 and board meeting at 7.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And just kind of,
Yeah.
because having the information posted and going out, having staff members time and everything to do something
Right,
on really, this is not we're not changing anything here.
yeah.
Right.
I mean, with this registration, filling out the form really change anything as an owner?
But then I also agree that just having it as part of the regular meeting just leads to non-productive conversation, right? We don't like them, we like them, you know what I mean? Like, it's just
Yeah.
not. Doesn't provide the additional layering into context to why this committee has done what you're recommending, what they're recommending.
Well, I think it would have to be after we make a presentation, you can comment on what we presented,
Yeah,
not.
but the hour before thing.
Yeah, that's
just
Lori,
great.
Lori, the thing I would say about where you said, well, it's not, we're not restricting anybody, we're just setting up this registration thing, but I think. And in light of some of what's going on in our country right now, people are gonna see that as, well, you're just getting a registration now, because the next step's gonna be
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. So that's where people get nervous, I think, so.
And
That's-
and that next step is the getting nervous would be from the owned property owners, yes. Yeah, I think more,
We're trying to
we're
be
gonna get, I think
receptive.
we're gonna get more pushback on this from the nonprofit.
We could, but it, well, it's,
Because I think they're in,
are we done?
All right, we're done, yeah, they gotta get to the other meeting.
Yeah, and I think that that's.
I think that,
Thank you,
I
Diane.
think